I used to think that the portrayal of women has changed dramatically throughout the centuries. There are certain fashions that visually look different, but they kind of get the same thing. Like, I think I was talking to somebody and they were saying that, yeah, but you know, women are all right now, I mean, you don't have to wear a corset. And I'm like, well no, but ideally you'd be a size 0. You don't wear the corset anymore, you just don't eat anymore. I mean, I don't see much difference between that. But the whole, I mean, I'm a contemporary painter. I mean, obviously I'm here now. And my audience no longer is purely male. It's not just males who have like the purse strings, you know, and I mean, but the thing is as well, even though that's the case, it's become so embedded in our society now that women want to be that, and men want it in a lot of media. And you just see it everywhere all the time, and it just gets a bit boring. And then occasionally you see something that doesn't do that, and it's so refreshing. And I think maybe I'm just painting. I don't know if I'm doing it to preach to anybody. It's just because I enjoy these images. That's what I want to see people like that. So yeah, I think that's sort of, yeah.
So for you, this kind of female strength, that's what's important.
Yeah, I want these people to have. I mean, it's important for them to have strength. I want them to have, and I've used that term in the past. I think I want them more to have a real, just a sense of personality, that they're a real person, that they are different from the other person. They're an individual. I suppose that's what I've come to understand what I mean when I say strength. I want them to just really intrigue people, I think. I don't know who they are, what they do, but I know what kind of sense I want to get from them. It grows kind of out of how the painting develops slightly, but I have a sort of a notion of that.
I'd be interested to know what your definition of feminism is. What's the...
This is a tough one. I don't really know. My idea of it, what I don't want it to be is man-hating, because I don't hate men. I think in my mind feminism is more about just equality. And I think that's, in a lot of ways, that's why the term is, I find it slightly confusing. Where I stand with feminism, do you know what? I'm only 24. I don't really know. I'm also not one of those people that like to really associate myself with a group, not because that's dangerous or anything, but I just like to observe more. And that everybody's different, so everybody's take is all different. So if you put yourself in the group, then you start to lose that slightly. But yeah, I'm only 24, I don't even know. I think that takes years to really, really understand.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get back to kind of the more practical side of your work. How do you start a piece? Can you talk me through the process?
A piece is often started by something that's caught my eye, like magnifying me again. If I see something that's shiny and I really like it, then that starts me off. It can be, for whatever reason, often, well, I'll go through phases with like particular features in your face. So eyebrows, I went through quite a phase. If I saw a particularly striking pair of eyebrows, that you can kind of start there. And I think the reason for that focusing on different features at different times is just that I want to make sure I don't get into a groove of the face. You know, if you think of a sort of a Rossetti face, you know exactly what that is, even though whatever painting you did. So there'd be a feature, or I've just stolen it from another piece of work. I've done a few paintings for my up-and-coming exhibition, and they're all from this portrait that Cranach did. Now I can't remember the name of it. A famous one of this lady in a black hat. And so that has been the starting point for about 2 or 3, I can't think now, paintings or drawing, I think. So it'd be that. Sometimes maybe from photography, but I seem to not relate to that so much, or it doesn't quite grasp me in the same way. And it could be friends, or I quite like just taking it from strangers. I like that distance for some reason. I don't know why. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the distance is quite intriguing, how you can feel very apart from something, but then still have that connection. I think with a lot of your work, there's a sense of familiarity, to me anyway, within, I look at the face and it seems very familiar to me.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, and I think that comes about from the fact that it's a collage. I think a lot of it, it's almost like people are tricked into it, because I think the way that I make them look at people, it's really, they look right into you. But there's almost like, when they are looking at you, that it's only you and the painting that's showing that moment. Because they seem to be like telling you something that's a secret. I don't know, there's just, or they're letting you know something that they don't want anybody else to. I don't know what it is, but yeah, and also they've got these very, very subtle sort of expressions on their face, and they can be interpreted in lots of different ways. It's a little bit Mona Lisa smilish, I suppose, because it's so subtle. Maybe I think that's me just sort of like shrugging off responsibility, don't put myself down to anything. I don't know, but I kind of like that. It sort of comes from my interpretation of older portraits, where they're meant to be, these sort of court portraits of, kings and queens and, princes and stuff. And they've got these amazing outfits on, and it's obviously meant to be this massive display of wealth and power. Yet you look at these people, male or female, and you just feel that they're fed up sometimes. I don't know, I just look at it, and these women, they look like they're being choked on all this lace or something, and they're just like, just would rather not be here right now. And I just feel, and when I see that, I feel like it's only me that's seen that. The painting's there for everybody to see, and I think sometimes the joke is on the individual, that the painter's gone, honey, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. And that is something, I see it all the time, whether it's just my interpretation or, it probably is, but that's, I sort of take that and play with that in my paintings a bit.
Yeah, so I can almost imagine you in your studio painting them, coming up with these cheeky stories on the side.
There's a little bit of that. There's, I've thought often about, I want them to have a sense of a narrative. What that is, like I sort of mentioned earlier, I don't really know. And I've sat down and thought, do I know, but I don't want anybody else to know? Somebody else I wouldn't mind, I don't know. But I think, actually, I don't really know, and I don't like to paint knowing what. I get a sense of, there might be certain paintings I get a sense, or I start to associate them with being perhaps from another country, or they might have a particular job sometimes, or I don't know, but generally, it's just to get that like spark of life in it a little bit.
I noticed there's a lot of kind of subdued pistachio colours going on with your painting choice. Can you talk me through your palette?
My palette. This is something I struggle with all the time. I always used to think that if I wanted to paint with a colour, I saw it, I liked it. Yes, I can do it. You just mix it out on your palette. I've come to realise that you get really stuck in a palette, and I've been trying to recently get out of that. I've always had a problem with the colour purple for whatever reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's to do with the fact that my mother just never really liked it, and so I've taken this on board for whatever reason. But I went to go and see these Nigel Cook paintings in Modern Art just off Oxford Street, and he's just an amazing painter. He's completely blown my mind. He uses like almost neon colours. They're not actually neon, but the way he's painted them with the other darker colours, they sing like neon colours. And when I think of the paintings that I really love, like the older paintings, there's none of those colours there. But I just all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, that's it, I'm going to put some lilac in a painting, whether it kills me. And now I just feel liberated, I've done it, and I'm like, yeah, this works really well. So it's, with a lot of my practice, like I was saying, with the features in the face, I want to stop myself from getting into a particular rut. I mean, obviously you can still tell the paintings are all mine, but there's a small things in them. I don't know if other people notice it, but it's kind of for me to just keep on shifting it slightly, so I don't feel like I'm regurgitating my own work. I suppose this is that.
Yeah.
But yeah, palette-wise, and because people ask me, do you have like a set that you start off with, that you feel comfortable with? I mean, I'll always put a sienna brown down, an ultramarine blue, and a titanium white, because that's skin for me. And then other things will come in as it grows. But yeah, it's maybe to do with the painting I'm looking at the time. Green tones into the skin isn't something I've achieved fully yet. I think it's coming in little bits. But blue obviously works quite well, because I mean, a lot of them are very white. They obviously haven't seen that much sun, probably a bit like myself. But so there's a lot of blue in it. But I went to go and see an Alice Neal exhibition actually, and she's got like lime green in their faces, and they're just unbelievable. And you buy it; it's not weird. You're not looking at a lime green face; it's just skin. And so that's made me start to think about that colour a bit more. But these things, they sort of sit inside me for months, and eventually it'll come out. In terms of headspace, I think I enjoyed the college experience. I mean, any undergraduate, it's a bit up and down, especially moving from a small sort of town to big city. But I think now in college, especially when you've got a tutor, you have an outside person there, sort of setting particular deadlines for you, or a particular pace. And I'm since coming out of college, just giving me more headspace to focus on smaller things for a long amount of time. Doesn't necessarily mean making less work, but I might spend 5 pieces just thinking about particular colours or whatever. Whereas before, everything had to be a big step. That's how I felt anyway. So that's been nice, just being able to just work on your own sort of schedule really in that way. But also, I mean, I'm very surprised that this has happened after college. I was expecting sort of like a good 5 years of waitressing perhaps, just sort of, chewing away at the bit. I mean, I'm not saying that I wanted that over this by any means. I'd probably gone crazy within about 3 months. But yeah, this has all been a complete shock for me really, in the best possible way. So yeah, it's just been quite lovely after college really. I feel quite lucky.